My name is Adrienne Finch, and I believe wholeheartedly that anyone from any background can create the success and happiness that they want. With my proven productivity hacks, business tactics, and a little mindset coaching, this podcast will unlock your greatest potential and transform you into the CEO of your own life, business, happiness, and success. So what are you waiting for? This is the Self-Made CEO Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. You guys, literally, I was just sitting here like, how do I even intro my podcast? I forgot how to even podcast, so that's fun. Hi, welcome back to the Self-Made CEO Podcast. I'm Adrienne Finch, obviously, and I have with me Kenzie Elizabeth. Finally, I'm so happy that you're here. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, we did a pod swap, but not it didn't really work out that way. We recorded an episode over on her podcast, the I Love You So Much podcast, a while ago now, and I've been wanting to get you in here, so I'm glad we're finally doing it. It's been a bit, and I caught you right in time because you are not going to be here much longer.
Well, I'll still be here. Like, I'm keeping my place in LA, but I'll just be in Texas mainly.
Okay, so guys, for context, Kenzie, you obviously, I'm sure, know who she is. She is a YouTuber. She has a podcast. She does all things lifestyle. You talk a lot about days in your life, weeks in your life, college, and I know you finished your college program, correct?
Okay, so the college program I did was part internship for 2 years, and the rest is online.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm done with the internship part. I graduate online in like a few months.
Okay, so you're still finishing that up. Yeah, so I feel like I've known you for like a couple years, but I feel like I've only seen you a handful of times, which is weird. I'm like, I've known you for a while, but have I? I don't know. But yeah, so, she's all over the interwebs, and especially like something I really wanted to bring you in and kind of talk about is, first of all, just your life, obviously. I think you're so interesting, and you are someone who, in my eyes, is like so productive and successful, and your business has just continued to grow, and I don't feel like I've seen you hit any points. Of course, there's always behind the scenes.
I feel that way, but
it's like from the outside perspective, and we all know like internet and reality is very different, but I've always been very and I've talked to other people about how I just feel like you are very productive and you have your goals, and maybe part of it is you have a very busy life. You were doing school, you were doing YouTube, you're doing your merch and your podcast and all these things, but I've just been so in awe of your ability to like really stick to what you're doing and just really follow through and be consistent. I think that's one of the biggest things we as YouTube creators and people like entrepreneurs need to do, and I feel like you've been amazing at that. So I wanted to bring you in. You also seem like very naturally just in tune with business and leadership and entrepreneurship. And obviously on this podcast, we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. So this is great. But we also talk about fun lifestyle things sometimes. And guys, I'll link her podcast down below because we did an episode over there. And it's just amazing. I've listened to so many of your episodes, by the way.
Thank you.
No, I love it. You have such great guests, and like, I love that some of them are more like business driven and entrepreneurship, people who've like created insane businesses, and some are like, it's more fun and just lifestyle laid back.
Do you want to hear who I'm trying to get on right now?
Yes.
So I'm really trying to branch out. It's lifestyle, so I think I do have a wide variety of guests. My goal this year is to make it wider. So we already talked about this, but I'm so obsessed with Scandal, and I'm so obsessed with Olivia Pope. There's a real life Olivia Pope. Her name is Judy Smith, and she helped Shonda Rhimes write Scandal. So I'm selling my soul. Like, I will fly to DC. I will pay her at this point. Like, I will do anything I can to get her on my podcast.
That would be incredible.
Wouldn't that be the coolest thing ever? She's literally the biggest boss. She was on the Bush administration. She worked on the Monica Lewinsky case.
Wow.
She's like an entrepreneur. She's worth like $80 million.
Kenzie, I feel like you can do it.
I'm trying so hard. She doesn't have an email, only a contact on the website.
That's so tough.
I'm trying so hard.
She's probably a busy woman.
Yeah, she's not active on socials.
Yeah. But you know what? I have this weird feeling because I feel like that's so aligned. I feel like you're obsessed with the show, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, she's a great
book coming out this year. So that's my driving force behind it. Like,
she
come on,
promo
book, we need a promo, Yeah.
That, I would be curious to hear what happens with that, because that's something I definitely need to do more of, is like, just be ruthless with the reaching out. Like, just really ask, like, aim high. What's the worst that's going to happen? Someone says no or doesn't respond. Yeah. And I think we talked about that on your podcast, actually, how I'm like, I just don't reach out to enough people. And you're like,
I'm kind of the same way, too, though. Like, I'm so someone who, I have a lot of friends that are, like, in spaces that I never post with. Like, no one would even know that we're friends, and I would never ask them. But there's, like, certain people I feel more comfortable with, especially if they're in, like, the digital side of things.
Right.
But OK Sis podcast, they're the best about reaching out and getting guests and stuff. They literally started, like, they didn't have a following before or anything like that. And they've had, like, Heather McMahon on their podcast.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, okay, part of it, I always heard this throughout college with just networking 101. I've always heard, like, people who are in the position to help younger, less experienced people want to do that more than you think. Like, they want to help you more than we think of them as these busy, crazy, successful CEOs, and they are. But it's like, 9 times out of 10, people are, like, willing to help, and I feel like I don't think about that enough. I had a woman on my podcast, Courtney Baker. She's actually now, like, my business coach, but when I first got her, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this woman, she's created this, like, multi-million-dollar huge business, and she's done all these things. She coaches now women on starting and scaling service-based businesses, and, like, she was like, yeah, I'll be on your pod, and then once she was on my podcast, she was like, I think we should work together. Like, I want to help you succeed and, like, have an online business that makes more revenue. And I was like, whoa, you want to help me?
Yeah.
Like, you're kidding me. So I feel like,
people
it's all about just reaching out.
They're a lot more down to help than you think that they
Exactly.
are. Yeah.
That's what I'm learning, and I think people get really intimidated. And actually, this goes for, like, anyone out there with networking, with cold calling, reaching out. Like, just do it, because the worst that happens is someone says no or doesn't respond, but people are more down than you think.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone, too, who has a podcast who has, like, these insane guests, and I asked him, like, what's your secret? And he's like, literally just ask. That's my secret. I was like, okay.
It really is that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But sending emails, like, at the beginning of the year, I'm really into my spreadsheets this year, which I actually hate.
That.
All of that stuff, like, I'm not administrative. I'm very organized, but I'm not super administrative. And I made a list of, like, 40 people I want on, and I emailed every single one of them, and it's color-coded. It's, like, emailed. Like, I have, like,
status.
They've answered. We've recorded. It's live. Like, things like that. And even now, it's, like, the end of January as we're recording this, and I'm still, like, last night, one of them responded, and I emailed them a month ago. Like, and it's people that I forgot. Like, I've gotten, like, the craziest guests. I will say a lot of it is through my network and, like, my relationships there. But also, even then, I'm like, I can't believe that you, like, you want to, like, sit here and come
for
in,
sure.
You know?
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, also, that kind of reminds me, everything, I say this a lot, like, things are always compoundable, meaning, like, if you put in the effort to send all those emails in one day, you're going to forget that you even did that, but those things, there is always going to be a payoff, even if it's not in the way that you think. There will always be an effect. Every cause has an effect. So you email all these people, 2 months later someone responds, or a year later someone remembers, oh, this girl, like, had this podcast, I wonder where it is now, like, and we don't even remember the things, the seeds that we planted at the start. And I think it's just crazy to see, like, all of that effort. I always like to think of all the effort as, like, never wasted. It's always going to bring something, even if it's not, like, what you expect. But that's awesome. I'm super into spreadsheets, but I'm, like, not organized in my other life. I feel like you and I would make, like, one whole person, because I'm, like, I use this thing called Airtable for my, like, tracking of podcast things, and you can literally click a tab that's like recorded, ready to go, that.
I need to do that.
I'm going to show you it, because
I would love that.
It's so helpful. It organizes all the content. It's amazing. But well, good. I'm glad your podcast is going well. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, you just made a major life change, sort of. And we don't need to get fully into it, because, guys, she made a whole video about this, but want to tell us your crazy news? And also, when did you move to LA? First of all.
So I moved to LA 4.5 years ago. So July, I think that's, what is that, July of 2016?
Yes. Yeah.
20,
yeah. No,
it would have been 15. It was 15 because I graduated in 2016. So I was 17 when I moved here.
Wow.
Like, I remember coming to these offices and stuff, or, like, the studio, like, forever ago.
You were young.
I was young, but I graduated early, and I was going to go to school here. So it was, like, yes, I graduated young and I was really independent, so it, like, kind of made more sense. But it really made more sense school-wise because I gained residency. So what people don't realize is that the school that I went to originally, it was 1,000 in-state and 18,000 out-of-state. So I actually saved so much money.
That's smart.
By moving here and then getting to work and all that stuff.
So that's really smart.
I, like, my life here ended up being so different than I imagined, but, like, in the best way possible. Like, it ended up so much better. But yeah, I'm from Dallas. I'm from Texas originally. Honestly, even a few months ago, I was like, I'll live in LA for the rest of my life.
Really?
But I just, like, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, there's more stuff happening in Dallas that I can't, like, it's not my thing to share kind of thing. But that is the main reason, which eventually will, like, make more sense. I like hate, but it's not my thing,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So,
don't you guys love when YouTubers and people
I know, I feel like
are
it's like secret project.
I have a thing that I can't tell you about, but it's like, that's true though, and you want to talk about it, but you can't. No,
and it has nothing, like it isn't my thing.
Right,
so
exactly. It's not even in your control.
So, whatever. So, anyways, I've always been like, I kind of do want a house in Texas. My dad's really into like, kind of like, I don't know, my dad's just like very leadership business savvy. That's where I get it from.
Yeah.
And very savvy with like properties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was a big help. But I was like, okay, I know that I'm supposed to be in Dallas, but I'm keeping my place here.
Right.
So I got a townhouse in Dallas, and then I'm keeping my place in LA, and then I'll just come out here. Like, I'm still recording my podcast pretty much fully in LA.
Okay.
I want to start traveling to guests, though. Like, I don't record virtually because, like, I don't do well on those.
I feel that. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's, like, way harder, and I feel like, I don't know. I just, like, it freaks me out because I feel like I'm, like, talking over them, but then I can't tell. And
I know.
Probably am,
oh, my God.
So,
want to hear the stupidest thing I recorded one time over Skype? And she actually had a microphone, so I was like, ooh, can you also record your audio? And that way, like, both of our audio will sound good instead of it being the call. And then my stupid mic was not plugged in. So her audio was flawless, and mine was, like, fine, but it was, like, the normal kind of, like, but it was, like, my laptop mic, which was just less good. But I was like, that's funny. Anyway, I feel you there.
I think it's so important and great to do, especially if you, like, kind of have to do it that way. Especially for people who, like, I'm just a lot more free now. I can travel.
Yeah,
so
and
like
it would be
that's
cool to
why.
meet them in person
Yeah.
and really...
And it's just like travel and
it's an excuse to travel.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And we have a studio in New York too, which makes it easier.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But with that being said, I got a place in Dallas, and I leave this weekend for like a month, but then I'm back here all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So like I keep telling my friends here, I'm like, it's really not going to be that big of a difference to you because like
you may not even see someone in 4 months.
Exactly. I'm like,
here.
LA life, it's so different.
I say that all the time. I have this really good friend from college who lives here, and then I have my best friend from like since preschool who lives in San Francisco. I literally see my San Francisco friend more often than I see my LA friend. And that's what made, like, one of my other friends moved, and I was like, sad, but then I was like, wait, I'm not that sad because I feel like I'll literally see you the same amount.
Or sometimes more.
Or more,
like,
yeah. Because you have to force yourself, not force yourself, you have to really plan. Yeah, you have to be more intentional.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited.
Do you also think, so in terms of like your busy life and being productive and everything, do you find that when you have more going on or you're more busy, or I guess in this case, you're forced to kind of travel back, do you think that that also makes you have a tighter schedule and be more productive, or do you feel like you're kind of spontaneous in that regard?
I think the more that I have to do, the more productive I am.
Yeah. Which
I don't mean, like, obviously I'm going to have to do more. I just mean I work better. I'm more efficient when I have more stuff. I also, like, everyone always says the same thing you're saying to me, and, like, I really just, like, I've never known a life different than this. I would just, like, I was literally born doing this stuff.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, I would go, we've been talking about this lately, but I would go to Starbucks with my dad, like, my entire childhood, back when Starbucks had, like, Wi-Fi cards, and you had to have, I had, like, a green wristlet thing with my Wi-Fi card, and I thought it was so cool, and I would go with my little laptop and, like, work with my dad. I have no idea what I was doing, but I was doing stuff, like, that young.
Yeah.
So, I don't, like... I'm really good with time management. That's been the one thing.
That's, I think, what probably it is that's standing out to me, too, because I feel like I work the best when there's a lot going on because it forces me to manage my time better. It's like, if I have a day where I know I have however many tasks to accomplish, but they're not necessarily a meeting or a call or something like at a specific time on the calendar where someone else is relying on me or whatever, that's when I have trouble. And not even because I'm lazy or procrastinating, I just don't even know all the time how to, like, formulate my own schedule. And then if something goes behind, like, what do I do? It's like when I have appointments, like this, today is going to be, I already know, very productive day. Like, I woke up, I was going to have my workout class. I ended up actually skipping it, but that's another story because I've been sick. But normally it would have been like my 5 a.m. workout class, and then I'm preparing for my call at 7. I had a call from 7 to 8:30. I get ready for this. I leave at 9:30. I'm here. I'm recording. It's like very structured, and then I feel like because my time windows are smaller, I'm like more productive. It sounds like time management for you is just not. Well, how do you manage your days where you don't have like appointments, but you just have to get things done?
So the biggest thing for me is I have to get out of my house in the morning, and I'm so big on working out. I also have awful anxiety, which I think is another factor as to why, I don't think it's that bad anymore, but it's a factor as to, like, what's made me so, like, because it makes me feel better.
Okay.
But I think in working out helps it a lot. So I will work out right now I'm doing a 6 a.m. training and then 7 a.m. Pilates, and then I'm done by 8.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps me so much because I work from home. Like, I work for myself unless I'm in the studio, which I am a few days a week, but still, like, something about when you work from home, getting out in the morning, even, it doesn't have to be a workout, like, even walking to a coffee shop and just going somewhere.
So much
I don't know what it is, but it helps so much.
You know, I think until this moment, I didn't realize that was the part that's helping, because I always go work out at this gym that I go to that I talk about way too much. I literally can't stop.
That's me, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. We're obsessed. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's like a drug. It's cool. Don't worry. But I think until this moment, I don't think I realized actually that I think it's the act of me having to go somewhere and then I come back and I'm like, okay, versus like getting out of bed and let's be honest, do I change out of my pajamas? No. Like, I wear sweats. But like, so if I get out and I'm working out and then I have to shower and like put on clothes, I feel like that resets. I'm like ready for the day.
That's another thing. If I don't work out in the morning, I make sure I change. It's honestly just into sweats if I'm working from home. I will not wear jeans working from home. Like, I'm not that person.
I won't.
But it's something about getting up, getting ready. Like, I don't really wear like a full face of makeup or like really makeup honestly on a day-to-day basis. So I'll put on like my I do like the Glossier like no makeup look. You know what I'm saying? It's not a makeup look, but like something very, very natural. Even like brushing on my eyebrows, like that sounds so stupid, but really small things like that.
Like when you're at home doing your own thing. I think that's it sounds whatever way, but I actually think that that's so valuable, because I think when you work from home, because I feel this too, it's like you have to separate your relaxing home bed, cozy, even if like for me, if my room is a little bit messy, then it's like I don't feel like I'm like starting my work day. That sounds so weird, but it's like
I'm the same way.
It's crazy. Like, you have to switch from your like relaxing environment to how can I transition this into my work environment all of a sudden. And I've read like so many random posts being like, yeah, you know, for us to do that, we like spray an air freshener in the room and like dim the lights, and it's like all of a sudden it's your relaxing home versus like your working home. Yeah, it's very weird. That whole just balance, I think, of working from home and getting things done. It's crazy.
I also have an office, which I know you do too, in my house. To be really honest with you, my office is so big. I work more often at my kitchen table now than I work in my office. In my office in Texas, I just want a conference table. I don't want a desk because I work at big tables. I don't work in like a desk environment. Like yesterday, I made myself because I'm like, I paid so much to have this space.
Let me use it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I really honestly like I don't use it, and like I have a whole like a full couch seating area. Like, it's a big office, and I go 9 times out of 10 to like my breakfast nook area, which I don't love that I do that, but something about that, like, it's made me learn like, okay, I work better
like, you need a big
at this table. I'm like, I need to get like a conference table or something.
I think I'm that way too, except that then I get anxiety about having my stuff everywhere when my roommates are, because I have roommates, and I feel like in my office I'm like, okay, I can spread, like, this is my table, I can put things all over this.
No, that makes more sense. I don't know why I'm like this.
But I mean, but I feel you, because I also think part of it probably has to do with just switching up your environment. Like, I know that I'll be super amped on working in my office and I'll like with my monitor and it's like amazing and I feel productive, but then like after a couple days I'll need to switch it up and go sit downstairs because I just feel like I need that. But that's also what I like about having the type of space that I do, is like having those options. I remember before I lived in this current place, it was like cabin fever every single day. I had like one table I could sit at and it was dark and it was just like I was not switching my environment at all. It's crazy how humans just need all these like stimuli to just function.
Lighting. Like, a lot of lighting is a big thing, actually.
Like, environment just needs to be really Okay, well, to pivot into, I want to talk about a couple things. One, so we're on the topic of productivity and kind of time management, that kind of thing. I do want to hear from you, like, because I feel like you've had a pretty steady well, also, congrats on the move, and I know you'll be back, so now I'm less freaked out about it, but
it's easier than it seems.
No, that's really exciting. So I know we kind of touched on this, but I know from the outside, it can always look like someone's, you know, life and business and everything is just running so smoothly and everything's fine and you're just progressing and no road bumps, but let's be honest, that's never completely accurate. And I would be curious to hear, like, with the progression of kind of how you've built your YouTube channel and having your audience and also incorporating in like your podcast and your merch, and like, did you have kind of a strategy for this, or is it kind of just as you're ready to take something else on? And then also, have you ever questioned, like, what the heck am I doing? Is this the right thing? I'm not liking this. Like, what has gone wrong? I just want to expose you right now. I'm just kidding. But really, I like to hear, like, you know, it's nice to relate, especially for people listening, like, for them to know, like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot and say what's gone wrong in your life, but it's like,
no, it's important to talk about.
Yeah, and also just like what you're doing is so great, and you are so successful in what you're doing now. So I just want to hear what was that journey like, I guess.
First off, thank you. I think it's not even necessarily like failing. It's more so like I was never the person who blew up overnight.
Right.
Like my stuff has been like slow and steady, you know?
It
like
has, yeah, and that's valuable though.
Yeah, and I'm like, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both, you know, and I like, it's fine for me. I truly could not be less affected by numbers.
Yeah.
I've always been that way. I don't know why. I can't give an answer other than like, I don't find my identity in like my job in the slightest. I think at one point, I've talked about this, but I definitely found like more of my identity in my work ethic and how hard I was working. So I was crazy. And then I like stepped back, and that was, school helped me so much with that because I had like another life. Right. So I think it's not necessarily something that will like drive me absolutely insane. With that being said, like I'm not an alien. Like numbers do matter in our job, but not necessarily. I think like the community that you're like building matters a lot more than like numbers on a screen. 100%. So I'm way more proud of like my Facebook group that has 5,000. I mean, I think it has more than that now, but like 5,000 people in it than like my YouTube. I mean, not really more proud, but like I love the Facebook group that has 5,000 people in it because people are so engaged. People are meeting each other.
It's like, the right 5,000 people.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so great. And then, what was I going to say? There was something like, wait, what was the question? I'm like totally blanking.
I asked like a million things because I rambled.
Oh, starting and then going.
Yeah.
So, I am glad that I started my podcast when I did because I got into my network at the right time and they developed the show. Yeah. But I had wanted to start a podcast for like a year and a half before that. Okay. I just had like the wrong representation that was like very, don't do it, whatever, podcasts aren't going to do anything. And I'm like, literally now I'm like, what an idiot. And then also he was just like, you don't have the numbers for it. And I was like,
you're
okay.
Like, honestly, screw you.
Well, now my podcast, like, it doesn't do better than my YouTube channel, but like, I would kind of say it does. I think my podcast is going to be bigger than my channel ever has been.
Well, I hope that, honestly, for me as well. I'm kind of trying to transition my channel to be more like these types of topics, too. But, I mean, no, good for you for, like, doing it. I also think anyone who says that's an idiot because podcasting, like, has, been around for a while, but I feel like it's just now really, really hitting our market.
Really taking off.
Yeah, like, the people who are watching our videos and have been for 5 years or however long are, like, listening to podcasts now. And I feel like they weren't for a long time, and, like, I feel like you did start at the exact right time.
Yeah, so it ended up working out, but I think I've been on YouTube since 2012, so like 8 years at this point. Actually, I think I've been on since 2013 and 2014, but my channel was open in 2012, which is just like the account, so I don't know.
That was me. Mine was like 2010, but really I didn't post till 2015, so I'm like...
Yeah, I need to like actually see what my first video was, but... It's kind of just been, like, slow and steady wins the race. With that being said, like, my channel has not grown much in the past, like, it's starting to grow again now, but it didn't grow for, like, 2 years. Yeah. Like, that, which I was also fine with because I had the community. Like, it wasn't...
Yeah, it doesn't matter the growth doesn't matter as much when you realize that the people, when you have that baseline that can grow, it's like, well, those are the important people. Like, I'd rather have half the subscriber count knowing that those people really care.
Yes. Yeah. And they're more engaged. And from a community aspect, like, human to human, like, what I actually care about when I'm doing this stuff, that's what matters the most to me. But then you go to, like, a business perspective, and those are the people who are going to buy product from you, and those are the people who are going to go to the shows, and, like, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think as far as kind of, like, transitioning to other things, it's just been, like, it's not extremely strategic. It's just been, like, what makes sense at the time. Yeah. I'm not a super big person on, like, a 5-year plan. Yeah. I used to be, like, this is what I want, and at this time I'm going to do this and this and this. And, like, I'm really into vision, and I think vision's really important, and you need to have a clear vision and goals. Like, I'm so for that, but I'm really open to life, like, going a different way, because every time it's gone a different way, it's only been better. Yeah, so, like, I'm fine with that. But I think it's just kind of been, like, what makes sense at the time. Yeah. And what, also, Lauren Bostic always talks about this, but she's like, you have to go where the attention's going. So, like, I'm not a TikToker, but, like, TikTok is big right now. And so people are going on that before, and it, like, she's like, you just go where the attention is going, and then you're fine, you know?
Interesting, yeah. I've always wondered about that, because I've heard multiple things. Like, people say different things. Some people say less is more. Like, you don't need to jump on every little platform and everything. But then other people are like, but when something's big, like, you're stupid not to capitalize on it.
I get both sides, though.
Yeah, me too.
Know?
I do. Because I think if you're trying to spread yourself so thin and be everywhere and be, like, strategically doing things everywhere, that's too much. You can't. You can't, and you're not, like, really laser focusing on really, you know, being an expert on one. But I also agree when, you know, when something is, like, obviously TikTok is huge right now and probably will be for a little while. And it is interesting to think, like, okay, that could be an opportunity, like, to maybe not miss. And trying to weigh, like, those. Are you doing that whole day?
No, I feel so awkward on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not my thing. I asked my manager, I was like, how important is it? And she was just like, I mean, the fact that you asked how important is, like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like, I don't know, I was more so asking from a business side of, like, is this really going to last?
Right.
Like, what is this going to be? Which my best friend, Dom, she's so into, like, cringy humor.
Yeah.
So she watches, like, the really cringe TikToks and has for the past 2 years. Like, she's been watching TikTok. She's like, TikTok's gonna be the next big thing. And we were all like, literally, Dom, no, it's not. And, like, here it is.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But, like, I saw Lauren, for instance, did a TikTok, and it was, like, when she got her hair done, and then it was, like, some other things. So I'm like, a room tour I could do, things like that. My sister's also a hairstylist, and so I was like, honestly, like, she doesn't have a social media presence, so I was like, maybe try TikTok and, like, see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think sometimes I just need to throw spaghetti at a wall, not overanalyze it. Because I think sometimes I'm like, oh, well, now I need a content strategy. It's like, no, just do anything or just don't. That's kind of where I've been. I'm like, if I think too hard about it, then I just won't do anything.
Yes.
So I either need to just do something or just, you're not going to take any action.
Do you have a Facebook group for this podcast?
I do.
Okay,
It's I do have a group. I was going to ask, like, I think I definitely don't utilize, I'm not present in it enough. I'm not pushing it enough. Guys, I have a Facebook group.
The Facebook group is the best thing I've ever done. Like,
yeah, no, I definitely want to, like, push that more because it just really makes it more intimate, more of an intimate conversation. And every time I talk about it, people go join. But yeah, I mean, I definitely need more of kind of not a strategy, because I hate thinking of it even as a strategy, but just, like, I need to be more present there. I need to get more people engaged over there, because I think that'll be good. I'm like, working on building some, like, mini courses that'll be, like, live, like, a live 2-hour, like, I'm teaching you 3 things to get this result or whatever. Those, because I think people are interested in learning, obviously, business things, entrepreneurship, marketing, productivity, anything. And so I've been working on that, and I also think a Facebook group would probably help with really starting to preview that to people and guys, actually, I meant to say this before. I'm going to put a poll in the show notes because I want to actually gauge, like, your guys' interest in what kind of topics you'd want for, like, mini courses and things like that. Anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, Facebook group.
It's good because there's no comment section in podcast, so it changes things. Also, especially for, like, this kind of, like, more business-oriented podcast, it's really good for people to network.
Yeah, definitely.
There are people in my Facebook group that I see every day that are like, hey, I'm actually applying for this job. Like, is anyone, college grads who would normally do it on LinkedIn or whatever are doing it in Facebook groups.
That's what I want. That's my goal for, honestly, this too, is I want this community to also be, like, not just me. Like, I want them to be able to meet each other and be, like, friends with each other or working with each other or helping each other. I want everyone to, because clearly everyone who listens to a show like this has somewhat, you know, they may be in different industries with different ideas and different topics they like more than, you know, another one. But if someone is, like, consistently listening to this show, they're going to be very like-minded with the other people that are listening. They're going to want to chat with each other, and they can all be each other's resource. That's what I love about this type of community. Honestly, building this podcast and starting, like, working on this has really helped me find kind of, like, a brand identity that I never felt like I had. Like, this, I can, like, confidently say, like, no matter what the numbers are for this show, people are so engaged. Like, I get messages all the time, like, talking about, and I mean, sometimes for YouTube, but it's not the same. It's not, this is like, oh my God, I listened to this one episode and it completely changed my outlook on literally everything going forward. And because that's how I feel when I listen to, like, business podcasts. I'll listen to one episode and, like, one sentence someone says can literally just start this ripple effect in my mind of, like, whoa, I'm, like, viewing this differently now. I'm going to go try this business thing and this and that. And that's what I want people to feel. And so it's like, no matter what the numbers are, I'm always like, I don't even care. I mean, I do care. I care. But, you know, I always, like, want people to just feel inspired. And I feel like with a brand like this and with your podcast too, it's like everyone's coming together for one purpose, basically.
Yeah.
I love that. So, okay, earlier on before the show, we were talking about, I was asking you what you've been into lately, and I know you love business and leadership, and you were talking about how you've been doing some work with kind of identifying your gifts and things like that. I would love to talk about that, and, like, yeah, just tell me about that. What is it? How did you start, like, learning about it or researching it? Or
It wasn't something that I intentionally did at all. I feel like, okay, so the school that I was at was also part internship. Mm-hmm. So obviously I'm going to like learn more than just at a typical school. But I think I was kind of surrounded. The main reason I even wanted to go to like where I ended up going was because I didn't want to, like I needed a strong foundation. I didn't want to just like go into, like, you know the saying, it's like you don't want to be the smartest person in the room? Yeah. I'm like, I was literally the only person in the room and I didn't love that.
Yeah.
So then
I can relate.
Yeah, like, it was just, I don't know, I needed to be under some sort of, like, leadership, not because I needed to be told what to do, but because I wanted to learn from other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there was one specific person there, Erica, I've had her on my podcast. I literally have talked about her more than anyone ever, but I look back now, and I think she has been such a vital, out of anyone who's ever talked, like, spoken into my life or anything, like, she will always be, like, the number one. I can't imagine someone doing more than she has done. Yeah. Even with, like, honestly, like, the conversations that I'm referring to really are, like, 4 or 5. Like, it's not even, like, it's an every week type thing or anything, but she's been a very, like, pivotal person in my life. Mm-hmm. But more than anything, I didn't really realize this until, like, kind of the end of my 2 years at the internship, and I realized that she, like, pulled out the gifting in me and, like, told me what I was good at, you know? And it wasn't, like, I didn't know myself or anything like that, but I think sometimes what you're naturally good at, you just kind of assume that other people are naturally good at that.
Right.
Like I talked about earlier, I'm like, I kind of was born and I was like, I just like, I don't know how to describe it.
It was natural.
It was natural, like, so it wasn't something like, I remember like starting my YouTube channel and stuff and I was like, why isn't everyone doing this?
Right.
Not in the sense of like, oh my god, you guys are idiots.
No, but
just
you were
like,
intuitive about it.
Yeah. And
it came to you, like, you're like, this makes sense, why doesn't it make sense to everyone else?
Yeah, so it took a while for me to be like, oh, like, I'm actually, like, gifted in business. Like, that makes more sense, because I'm like, I was always like, guys, why aren't you doing this, you know? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one thing. I think more than that, though, like, I love connecting people, which makes sense as to why, like, my biggest thing with what, like, everything that I do is always community.
Right.
And that makes sense because even, like, small things, I'm like, oh my gosh, you would be such good friends with this person. I do it all the time. Yeah. And I just thought everyone, like, just things like that. But even, like, business-wise, I'm like, you should work with them. You should go here. Like, things like that.
That's huge. And I have met a couple people like that in my life. And I always want to, like, know what to call. Like, I don't know what to call that. I think, yeah, you like to connect people. I almost was like, how can someone even, like, monetize that? Like, there was this one guy who all he ever did was just connect people, and then they would do, like, business deals, and I'm like, bro, you need to, like, monetize that somehow. I don't know how. Anyway, side note. But no, that's an incredible gift, and it is true. Not everyone does that. Yeah. Like, being just intuitive to think like that, but also that you genuinely want to connect people and help people find each other and work well together.
But again, like, I think obviously my intentions are really good behind it, but it's just not something I really think
You're not thinking about that hard. Yeah. You're not, like, sitting there being like, my goal in life is to, like, help other people form partnerships. No.
I didn't, like, sit down and say, like, this is who I want to be kind of thing.
It's just natural.
Yeah, I think it's really important to play off your strengths. Also, another thing that is honestly the biggest thing I think I realized through this is she's like, you're a visionary. Like, you have the vision, and you... Not in the way that you're, like, lazy. It's, like, the opposite of that. But, like, you are a visionary. Like, there's going to be people who, like, work alongside you and, like, help you with that. Like, I'm not administrative. Yeah. And everyone probably assumes that I am because I'm pretty organized. But, like, not that hard to work a Google Calendar. You know?
Right. No, totally.
I will not sit down and make it, like, I hate Excel. My least favorite class is in college. Yeah. Literally was, oh, my gosh, it was so awful. But it's kind of, like, okay, I know that I have this big vision, but because I'm good at connecting people, I'm like, okay, this person. Right. And even to the idea of, like, I will randomly, like, send an audio message, and I'm like, hey, I just had this idea, you should do this, whatever. And, like, friends have actually done it and, like, have businesses now. Yeah. But, like, it's also, I didn't realize that it was a gift, and I think people get really, like, weird because they're like, oh, like, what am I, like, talking, like, whatever about yourself.
No, I feel that. I think that's really valid, though. Like, you're a visionary and you realize, hey, sometimes I'm going to need other people who are the executor, that's not the right, whatever, who are executing, like, if you need an admin person because you're playing to your strength, which is the overall vision and making sure it's running, not, like, you shouldn't be wasting your time and value on, you know, making a stupid spreadsheet that someone else could make.
Exactly.
And that's a huge thing I talk about and that I'm trying to work on is, like, delegation is, like, I'm not the person who needs to be doing every little part of this business, and that's also not how a business is going to scale. And yeah, so it's cool, like, realizing that. Like, how did you, like, figure out, was it that she was kind of telling you, like, yo, you're this way, and you're like, oh yeah. Was it, like, kind
honestly,
of that simple?
Yeah, it was kind of that. I know people are, like, weird about mentors, like, love mentors, hate mentors, whatever, and, like, weird with authority. I've always worked for myself. I mean, I worked, like, young in high school, but pretty much I've always worked for myself. But I am so, like, if someone is older than me, they probably, not all the time, but they probably do know more than you. Mm-hmm. And it's really good to learn from their mistakes. Yes. But I think having someone who's older than you, loves you, wants the best in you, and, like, knows you, and can, like she's told me things that I don't love, too, before. You know, it's not like I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah. But it still is, like, I think just having leadership and learning from people is so important.
I agree, 100%.
It's so important, and I think that is something, especially in this whole, like, side hustle culture, which is really, really great. It's so amazing to see people so motivated and, like, wanting to make businesses and stuff. But, one, I think hobbies are really important, too, to do things that don't involve work or money. Agreed. I think for both of us, it's working out, and that's really good. But I think it's also, like, like, authority has become such a weird word, and it's, like, I will always, for the rest of my life, I always want people, like, over me who are ahead of me and know me and are older and wiser. Like, I want to learn from them. So it really I think it was just, like, we had a relationship, and I would, like, open up and talk to her, and she would be able to do that.
Yeah, totally. Know? I think that's actually also a really interesting side point about authority and mentors, because I 100% agree. Like, once I started working for myself, there's a difference between not necessarily wanting to, like, report to someone who's in charge of your decisions versus having someone who can help you make decisions or who can be, you know, your voice of reason or just someone to bounce something off of. I highly recommend that everyone has people like that in their lives. And also, you know, if you don't have a person like that, there are so many, you know, online courses and resources and Facebook groups and places where you can learn from other people's podcasts. Yeah. It's like, I think that was the biggest pivot in my business life, was when I kind of realized that I felt like my brain was turning. I literally thought I was, like, getting dumber. I was like, I don't have the same type of complex thinking skills because I don't have to do it that often. I'm not, like, learning a new skill. Like, I needed to sharpen my brain, and part of doing that was literally just, like, learning, like, every day, absorbing something, whether it's a podcast, reading some of a book, just, like, talking to a mentor. Now I have a business coach. It's, like, amazing. Just literally knowing, like you said, that someone cares about what you're doing, wants to help you, wants to tell you things that you don't want to hear either.
Yeah.
And you need, like, I think that everyone needs that. I also think, especially in business and just in life, like, getting used to having feedback and getting used to, like, you know, making yourself uncomfortable is so important. Even doing things like this, like recording podcasts and having calls. Like, sometimes beforehand, I'm just like, oh, I kind of, like, don't want to do this. And then I get there and I'm like, duh, I want to do this. Like, no part of me actually didn't want to. I just feel like I get, like, you can get so comfortable in doing your own thing that you're like, maybe not. And then you realize how valuable it is to just talk to more people, have mentors, take the class, do whatever. That's awesome. So how can I figure out what see, okay, I feel like I know, I do a lot of self-reflecting. Like, I feel like I know myself inside and out. But it's also really interesting to think about, like, gifts as, like, how can you utilize your gift to the best of your ability? Like, so if you're a visionary type of person, then it's like, okay, how did you, or if you haven't yet, like, how do you make sure that in your business and in your decisions every day that you're, like, playing that role and that you're using those strengths? And, like, have you kind of thought about that, or is it more just, like, a realization?
No, I mean, I'm really big on being practical too. Yeah. So, like, I think, which is very good if you're, like, a visionary type person, because that can mean literally nothing if you don't do something. As far as you, though, and your gifts, funny, because I feel like we actually talked about this in my episode, but I think your friends tell you this. Like, Morgan has told you this so many times. Like, your personality can literally take you the rest of your life. Like, you're literally the funniest person ever. So I think, like, but obviously, like, my eyes keep watering. I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys.
You're just crying because you love this so much. Guys, I'm so funny that she's just crying her eyes out.
But I think it's just kind of asking the closest people to you, like, hey, what do you think I'm good at? I'm really big on playing off your strengths. Like, I think you're good at something for a reason, and I don't think you're ever really made to be used in, like, another way. I think you're... Not that you can't, like, create yourself and invent yourself and get better at things and learn a new skill. It's just, like...
But, like, play to the strengths.
Exactly.
For
like,
sure.
If your strengths are, like, so high, like, if your strengths are at, like, 90 and your weaknesses are at 10 and you're working so hard on your weaknesses, those are only going to get to, like, 30 and then your strengths can, like, triple, you know?
No, I feel that. If you guys right now are listening and you feel, like, at all, like, lost in a direction of what you want to do, which is totally okay, FYI, but something that could be helpful, I did this when I was starting this podcast, is I made a list of, like, I actually did, like, literally email friends and family and be like, what are my 5 strengths? What are my 5 weaknesses? Like, what do you envision me doing? And something that I think is really helpful is making a list of all the skills that you know you have, the things you're good at, and then making a list of the industries that you like the things that you're fascinated by, even if you don't feel like you know a lot about them now, and then see where those things can intersect. Like, where can you take a thing you're good at and, like, apply it in an industry that you're interested in? And the other thing is, I think, like, just when you hit a roadblock or, like, oh, but I don't know how to do this one thing, like, learn the one thing if it's something, or have someone else do it. I think that used to stop me a lot. Like, I used to have this series on YouTube, I talk about this a lot, where I was interviewing strangers in the street, and honestly, it did what you're saying. It encompassed my personality. It was interesting. I wasn't afraid to go up to strangers and ask really uncomfortable things. People loved it. I had, like, no subscribers, and these videos would get, like, hundreds of thousands of views. And one of my biggest kind of I really don't regret things in life ever. I don't. One of my biggest, I'll say, learning moments.
You're like, but if I were
this is literally the one thing. Was that I knew in that moment that was a direction I needed to lean into and really capitalize on and, like, make more of those videos, and that I thought that I could grow this brand of, like, me interviewing people as, like, my thing, because it worked. People loved it. It showed, you know, whatever. And then what stopped me was literally just something as dumb as, like, me not figuring out, like, well, I would need someone to film me, like, consistently every week, but, like, I don't really have the money to pay them, but, like, who would want to? And just, like, not, like now, if that were me now at age 27, like, having experienced a lot, I'd be like, girl, literally go on your college's Facebook group, post it on Instagram. Anyone will freaking help you. People will help you for free if you need, like, and back then I just let that roadblock, like, stop me, like, just stop my action. If I've learned anything, it's that just don't let a little roadblock, like, stop you from taking a step forward towards something. This was a side tangent, but, yeah. But that's really, thank you for saying that my personality, if you have any advice for how I can utilize that. It's so funny because I'm that person that you know, and that, you know, I'm like the weirdo. I'm literally the weirdest person on planet Earth, and I feel like sometimes YouTube viewers, like, don't even see that. But then I'm, like, the total opposite. I'm, like, talking about business and productivity and being serious. But that's also maybe a gift, you know, combining those types of things. Like, I'm not going to be that stiff, rigid CEO type person. Yeah. Like, if I have a course or if I do a live event or do speaking things, it's not going to be this, like, really formal thing. And maybe that's something that'll be what people are attracted to.
Yeah.
You know?
I think with me, I've thought a lot of the times, like, things that I'm good at kind of contradict.
Right.
And I've learned that they don't. I just think that we're also in an age where so much is being created and started right now. So, like, the landscape, like, I talk about this all the time, of, like, one industry is not going to look this way in even 10 years, you know? Yeah. So that's what I was going to say, like, personality-wise, people who are doing typically, like, leadership, business, like, this sort of thing, they're typically old white guys.
Yep.
So, like, you're not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's true. And I appreciate that. I think that's, people, you know, when I even wanted to make this podcast, like, do you know how many people were like, CEO of what? Like, okay, like, what? Even my mom, like, okay, I love my mom, and she is so supportive, but she even, like, was like, okay, but, like, do you feel like you, like, are qualified to be, like, giving people business advice? And I was like, yes. Like, and also I realized everyone at every stage, gurus, mentors, coaches, they all question themselves sometimes, but it's like, if you have anything to offer anyone, it doesn't matter if you're at the beginning phases or the end, like, if you can offer any advice. Like, sometimes I read a book and I'm inspired by a tactic and I talk about it on the podcast. It doesn't mean I'm an expert on it. It doesn't mean I invented it. It means I'm being the liaison between something I learned that I think is valuable and the person on the other side of this
like
podcast.
consuming things.
Yeah.
I think too, like, imposter syndrome is so big.
Oh, yeah.
I think that all the time too, especially lately when I've had like bigger opportunities and I'm like, I'm 22, like, I really don't know anything, like, whatever. You know more than you think that you know.
Absolutely.
And also just taking people on the journey, there's a lot to be said about that, because you learn as you go.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so different. Like, you don't really get to see, like, I'm like Shay Mitchell or someone from start to finish.
Right.
You see her where she's at now.
Right.
And, like, they can talk about that as much as they want, and it's, like, really helpful, like, so helpful. You learn so much. But there's something to be said about, like, seeing the whole thing from start to finish, and 100%. People are more loyal to you, too.
100%. And it is weird that we have this whole kind of blowing up overnight phenomenon that happens with some people, where it just makes everything feel weirder. Like, it's like, oh, well, is this working for me because it's slow and steady, where these people are just blowing up overnight? It's like, yeah, seeing the journey, I think, is so helpful. I like that when I listen to people, and I think that's most of the feedback that I've gotten, too, on this show has been, like, I actually like that you're not this, like, unattainable, like, billionaire CEO person, because then it almost feels like it's harder to take the advice that person's giving, because it's like, oh, well, it's easy for you to stay in that position, which I know is also, like, not completely accurate. Like, those people can give really great advice.
But not everyone's in the position to do exactly what they're doing. Right. So it's helpful when it's, like, different. It's just nice to hear from different perspectives and different, like not walks of life, but, like, people in different areas of life, I guess.
Well, and that I want a wide variety of guests even here, for example. Like, I want really successful, awesome people, but I want people also who are struggling. Like, I made my roommate come on the second she quit a job that she'd been trying to quit for 2.5 years, and she was, like, emotionally in the weirdest place, and I was like, that's why I want you on right now. I want you to talk about this, because people experience that, and, like, she felt like, oh my god, why am I here, like, talking about how much I suck right now? And I was like, no, that's exactly, like, you don't suck, but that's exactly what people can connect to and relate to. Yes, very interesting. I love it. I'm like, wow. I feel like I could talk for 10 years.
Yeah,
I just looked over at the clock and I'm like, oh, I want to keep talking for a lifetime. Well, okay. I feel like this is good. I love you because I feel like we can speak the same language with, like, we obviously do similar things, but we also, I can tell we both, like, really care about building communities and helping people, but also just, like, being business boss gals, and we need more. I love this wave of, like, just having more young females in this type of space and talking about these kind of things. It's awesome. It's like, oh my god, it, like you said, literally this industry 5 years ago, so different. Oh my god,
it's the most comforting thing ever, though, because I'm I don't even know if I want to do that, but 5 years from now there'll be something else that I want to do.
That's actually such a good, because I was gonna ask you, like, I know you were saying I don't really have the, like, 5-year plan, this, that, but, like, when you have your vision for kind of your business, like, and what you ultimately forever not want to, that obviously it's going to change all the time, but what do you think of when you kind of think, okay, where is my life path, my trajectory going with this?
So I also, like, I think just being in digital stuff, it's so hard to even know, because I'm like, I don't know what it's going to be in 10 years. I think I will own businesses. Like, I have a lot of ideas that I thought were for other people that I'm like, okay, I may actually do that. Like, that sounds good. My main thing right now is I just want to graduate college and then start something else, because it will, at that point, if I add something else right now, it will get to the point where it's too much and, like, I'm not doing anything well.
Yeah.
But I think I'll always, like, be creating communities. I think I'll probably do a lot more, I don't want to say public speaking in the sense of, like, a motivational type thing, but I want to do, like live shows.
Events. Yeah,
I want to do live events. I definitely want to do more business-based things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like, I have this whole vision for so many things that I want to do, but I think I'm just going to have my hands in a lot of things. I would even almost want to do, just for fun and for people I'm really passionate about, like, I would love to do, like, some sort of consulting.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't want that, like, I don't think I'm going to end up being a consultant. I think I'm going to always do what I'm doing to, like, a larger scale.
But even, like, let's say with your Facebook group, let's say you said, hey, I'm opening a beta group of, like, 10 of you can schedule, like, a 30-minute weekly call with me, or maybe not, that's a lot of people, but, like, to be like, hey, you can ask me whatever you want for 30 minutes, like, that could be really interesting. I've thought about things like that too, where I used to do one-on-one consulting, but it's a lot, putting, like, a lot of time and energy into one thing, and I want to be able to scale it more, not only, of course, for, like, the revenue streams and the bigger income, but actually to like help more people.
Yeah.
Like actually scaling online and helping more than just one, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome though. I think, I mean, no matter what you do, it's gonna continue to be successful. And I think the last finishing point, this is random, but I need your advice on this, and I think maybe other people would too. When you're talking about like kind of adding different things in, and I know it was like YouTube, and then you have your merch, and I know you have a team kind of, and you know, your network and all that. What is your strategy in terms of time management when you add something new? Like if you, like when you added the podcast, how did you work, like how did you figure out like, okay, I can take this on, and here's how I'm gonna make sure that I can still, because I feel like you were already pretty busy, so it's like, did you move things around? Like, what did you... Because I struggle with that sometimes. I want to add something in, and then I feel like I get behind on, like, everything. Mm-hmm. But that's just a weakness of mine. I get overwhelmed really easily.
I think as far as time management goes, the fact that I've been doing, like, the work side of my life in the entire time I've had school has actually been really helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's forced me to be even better at time management.
Right.
I, like people are like, oh, I love my Google Calendar. I'm like, no, like, I literally live by my Google Calendar to the point where, like, 30-minute blocks, like, sometimes if I'm really busy that day, I'll be like, okay, 30 minutes for this. I set timers. Yeah. I always do that when I clean. And I was like, oh, I need to do that when I'm actually working because it helps a ton.
That's true.
As far as adding on the podcast, like, specifically, I started it launched September of 2018. And that summer, before I went with my network, I was planning on doing it in seasons. And I was going to pre-record all summer and then have them, like, or batch record all summer. Right. And then have them all for, like, the first season. So I wouldn't have to do it in school. Because I would not have been able to do it, edit it, do everything myself. Like, there was just no way I could do it. So I was like, I'm going to do it in the summer. I ended up meeting with my network, signed with them, and they developed the show.
Right.
So with that being said, like, I don't think I would have been able to do it weekly. Also, something I haven't mentioned is I, on any given day, have, like, 5 to 6 videos already pre-uploaded to my YouTube channel. Yeah. So I just make them live whenever I do.
How?
That's my biggest
How do
thing.
You get ahead?
Because I vlog a lot, so it's easier. A lot of my stuff is vlog-based, so it makes it all easier. Podcast, like right now we have 10 episodes at least pre-recorded, and I'm recording like 3 or 4 more this week.
Wow.
That
I need to get on her level, guys.
It's so helpful though, especially with podcasts, because if I don't do that and I don't, like, people who are like, oh, I need to go in and record or whatever, if I didn't have it planned out, I would just throw something together and I wouldn't, like, I couldn't do that. But it's like batch recording and pre-recording has been what's allowed me to, like, do all of this and not be so stressed out because I already had the stuff ready.
Right.
Do
you have, like, specific, like, editing days? Like, okay, this day I'm just editing all the stuff that I just filmed, like, over the last 2 weeks or whatever.
It's not, because my studio schedule is not set because it depends on the guest.
Oh, I see.
But, like, my Google Calendar is set for the next week at all times. So, like, yesterday I was like, okay, 2 hours of editing. I have an editor sometimes. Like, if I have a sit-down video, she'll edit that. I edit all my vlogs because they're, like, too personal for me to, like, hand it over to someone. I don't edit my podcast. Like, I don't actually do a lot of the back-end stuff, so that's good. As far as, like, delegating, I've gotten better at delegating as far as, like, an editor, or I hired someone. I just started a newsletter, which is really cool. You should do that, actually. I'm a really good girl if you want someone, but even that stuff, like, that was really helpful. Like, I hired her, and she's like, now I'm like, oh my god, I'll always use her for graphics. She's so good. She set up everything. And even today, like, I was like, okay, what can I do better? And I'm like, my Instagram for my podcast is trash. Like, it's so bad. There needs to be, like, I love how, do you know what Mayfair Group is?
Yeah.
They are brilliant. They're literally a PR company that has turned it into a community somehow.
Yep.
If you're gonna, that's
I know,
amazing.
I was noticing, I'm like, dang.
It's so good. I was with Sam. Sam's been on my podcast, but I was with Sam this weekend, and I was like, you guys are literally killing it. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, their Instagram is such a big inspiration for, like, running my Instagram for that, so I have all these ideas. So even then I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do takeovers, so I, like, was like, oh, this graphic designer, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna run it, but people are gonna do a lot more. So I think delegating, my Google Calendar, I do time block, I'm a huge time blocker, all that stuff.
Because I feel like the times that I get ahead with the batching, I feel like I then accidentally too, not even because I'm, like, lazy, I just feel like I then feel too cush with, like, okay, now I have time, instead of, like, already thinking about the next group of things. That's what I feel like. So then I end up, like, not even that far ahead, but that's, I think, just a problem where the second I get ahead, I need to just still operate normally, because then it's the same amount of work, you're just not stressing out doing it.
Exactly.
You're, like,
I just treat it like normal. I don't treat it like I'm ahead.
Right. Yeah, that's I think what I've had a weakness with is I'm like, oh, cool, I just did, like, in December, I had oh my god, I literally had so many videos. I was, like, not sleeping. I was working so hard. I was, like, so proud of myself. I finished so many videos, and for the first time ever, I literally over Christmas, like, stood there and did nothing for a week. Like, nothing. And it felt so good. And then I got back, and I was like, whoa, I'm still ahead with videos. And granted, I think I was a little too lax, but then I got sick, so it's like, now I feel like I'm not behind, but just hardly there. Yeah. But anyway, no, that's really good advice, and I think you're killing it. I'm so glad we were able to do this, and we should definitely do, like, in another however many months, like, another episode on whatever. Yeah. I want to see, I don't know, we'll talk about something. We'll figure it out. Guys, Kenzie, where can people find you and your podcast and everything? Well, I'll link her podcast in the show notes and her Instagram. What else? You want to join her Facebook group, join her newsletter?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Plug away.
Okay, it's Kenzie Elizabeth on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I Love You So Much podcast. There's an Instagram, Facebook group.
I'll just link it all. I'll link it all. And then, yeah, have fun with the move, but you'll be back, so I don't have to say permanently bye.
Are you going to Coachella?
I don't know. It's a great question. I feel weird about it this year.
Yeah,
I feel like I just don't actually love it that much. I like other festivals more, because I'm like I'm about the literal music, and I feel like every time I've gone has been just not so much about the music, and I'm like, why am I doing? But
I use it as an excuse because all of my closest like YouTube friends, none of them live in LA really. So I use it.
Here.
It's like our reunion.
That's
the only reason. Like, I would not be going if it wasn't for them. Like I would not go to Coachella. I would rather go somewhere else.
No, same. I feel like I love other festivals more, and it's like so overwhelming and just so many people. But if I do go, I'll see you there.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the Self-Made CEO podcast on iTunes. And obviously you can find it anywhere. Tell a friend about it today. Tell a friend to go take a listen if you've made it this far and you're still here. I just love ya. But I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.